So the first race of the 2023 IndyCar season was a little bit mental. Now, when I covered that race, I wasn't planning to do the full IndyCar season. Then I looked at the view count and, well, hello again. I just want to start this off by saying a huge thank you for all of the support on that last video. To all the new subscribers, patrons and channel members, it really means a lot. And I feel the best way to pay you guys back is simply to get into another race, and round 2 with the Texas 375, which was, in the words of the drivers themselves, beautiful chaos. Let's get into it. This was, of course, the race that last year saw one of the greatest finishes in the sport's recent history, Joseph Newgarden making a last corner pass to snatch victory away from Scott McLaughlin. The young New Zealander has obviously come a long way since then. As we saw in St. Pete, he'll now take you out before letting you take that win. Jokes aside, the start of the weekend's action was a bit on the quiet side. Reigning champion Will Power announced a new deal with Penske, but besides that, nothing really happened. Then we got to first practice, where nothing really happened, then qualifying, where Felix Rosenqvist took pole, and other than that, nothing really happened. The first oval of the year was surprisingly lacking in the mistakes department, especially surprising given that Devlin DeFrancesco was still trundling around somewhere. McLaren seemed to be the ones with the most dominant car though, Rosenqvist never really looking challenged from those behind, and Rossi and O'Ward lining up 3rd and 5th, leaving many to wonder, where exactly was this pace in their Formula 1 operation? It wouldn't actually be until final practice that we saw the first oopsie from one of the drivers, Connor Daly pulling an April Fool's prank on his spotter and engineers by giving them all heart attacks. It would be Scott Dixon topping the times heading into the race on Sunday, which you'll be glad to hear actually has something I can talk about. 250 laps around the Texas Motor Speedway would get underway, with several cars contracting what looked like explosive diarrhea as they dipped a wheel into the dirt at turn 1. Rosenqvist would hold the lead though. Well, he was, until he decided he didn't actually want it anymore, handing P1 to Dixon at the end of lap 1. First place would then jostle amongst the leading pack like a hooker at a corporate after party until everything changed on lap 48 and the first car made it into the Texas barriers. Said car was the number 11 of Takuma Sato, the Japanese driver making his return to the series with new team Ganassi, only to find out the Chastain approach doesn't work so well in IndyCar. As Kingpin fumed in the garage, everyone, and I mean everyone, took advantage of the subsequent caution to take a cheap pit stop. This would end up proving a little more expensive for the Andretti of Kyle Kirkwood, who found out he couldn't just drive through Alex Rossi like he was on Assetto Corsa. Rossi picked up suspension damage from the accident and was only left further infuriated when he was appointed blame from the stewards and had to serve a drive-through penalty. I'll be honest, I don't really know where I stand on this one, besides being happy IndyCar's Twitter fanbase is considerably smaller than other top-flight motorsports. The race would restart then, with Newgarden and Palou now shuffled to the front of the order, and as they competed for who had the biggest ballsack, Kirkwood's day was about to fall apart when his car started resembling a chain smoker just shy of half distance. Still, things could be worse. For example, you could be Felix Rosenqvist, who found the Texas Motor Speedway far more challenging when his car was reduced to just 3 wheels rather than 4. This was especially bad for McLaren, as by this point their one remaining car of O'Ward was on another planet, lapping the 28-car field up to 3rd and looking to take a dominant victory. The caution for Rosenqvist's accident pretty much threw this plan in the bin, set fire to said bin, then dropped a nuke on what was left for good measure. The likes of Newgarden and Palou were able to swap onto a far more advantageous strategy. They could push all the way to the end, whilst the McLaren held track position, though would need to aggressively fuel save if they wanted to go the distance. When the race restarted, O'Ward took one look at these fuel targets and felt it was best just to completely ignore them, racing Newgarden and Palou to the bone. McLaren's only saviour would be another caution, but given how well behaved the field had been over the entire weekend, the likelihood of this was pretty low. Then again, Stingray Robb is in the field, and he was about to do Stingray Robb things on lap 208. The Delcoin racing car glanced the outside barrier before being spat across the circuit and hard into the inside fence. Stingray was okay, though I'm starting to get the feeling his IndyCar career is about as endangered as the animal he's named after. For those still running, more gambles were taking place. This time it was Grosjean and Dixon who chose to stay out and take track position, with the rest of the field, O'Ward included, heading to pit road for fresh tyres and fuel. Now, no one realised it at the time, but Roman and Scott had played a blinder here. The pair had assessed the situation and concluded that Devlin Di Francesco was still in the running, so there had to be at least one more caution when he inevitably had his massive accident. Sure enough, just a couple of laps into the restart, that's exactly what happened. The Andretti wiping out Graham Rahal for good measure, though given the nightmare he was having at the rear of the field, I imagine he was more thankful for Devlin just putting him out of his misery with this one. With just a handful of laps to go then, we were set up for a phenomenal finish to the second race of the season. Newgarden and O'Ward led the way, with Herter and Palou snapping at their heels. This was especially impressive for the latter, Alex on the most worn tyres of the leading pack, yet still able to make a strong challenge for the win. Even David Malukas, who seemed to be way out of contention just a few laps prior, was now back on the winning strategy, and looking for his first win in the category for Dale Coyne. And you weren't able to count out the likes of Grosjean and Dixon either, since both of them pit under the final caution. As the laps ticked down, their tyre advantage became better and better. What that left us with was a brilliant showing from all involved, the leading pack going side by side for what seemed like an eternity, millimetres from both each other, and the mother of all accidents. It seemed like a matter of time before one of them threw their Indycar at high speed into a wall, and eventually that's exactly what happened. Just as he looked to build up race-winning momentum, Grosjean clipped the rear of Malukas, sending him into a spin, straight into the barrier with just 2 laps left on the count. The subsequent caution brought an end to the race, Newgarden just ahead of O'Ward at the time and thus able to take a stunning victory around the Texas Motor Speedway. Maybe not quite as high stakes as the one from the year before, but pretty darn close nonetheless. You've got to feel a little bit for O'Ward. Once again, he came close to a win, only for matters outside of his control to wreck that for him. I wonder if him and Charles Leclerc have a little focus group going on during the off weekends. On the bright side, he does move up into the lead of the Drivers' Championship, which I'm not going to delve into much as we're way too early in the season to even be talking about that yet. It's also gutting for Grosjean, seeing another potential victory fall away due to another crash, though this one was completely on him, and quite frankly I think it would have been a long shot anyway. We were simply running out of laps. A fantastic race overall though, and thankfully we don't have so long to wait this time before round 3 kicks off at Long Beach on April 16th. You can bet I'll be covering that race too. If you enjoyed the video though, be sure to drop it a like and get subscribed for more on both the Indy and F1 seasons through 2023. A final thanks once again goes to all of my patrons and channel members. If you want to further support me and the channel, then all the links you need are down in the description below. Anyway, for now that's all from me, so I'll see you soon with another video, but until then, have a good one.